In a castle older than memory, where bloodlines hold more weight than loyalty, a new queen rises. But behind every smile, a knife awaits. The gods have chosen their vessel, but divinity comes at a cost. My daughter sits the throne, but I command the court. In games of loyalty, only traitors survive. This is not a story of heroes. This is Ironblood.
The last time I stood before a palace gate, I left a body cooling in the garden. This time, these gates open for me. They bow, they smile, they offer wine. But somewhere inside these walls is a woman I've been sent to kill. They call her Virelya, the Ironbound, Queen of the Ironstone throne. The oracle says her blood runs colder than the mountain streams, that her spine is carved from obsidian. But I've read her letters. She writes like she's never once asked for forgiveness, only obedience. What no one tells you about queens is this. Their power doesn't sit in crowns or armies. It lives in what they bear. She'll be watching already. I know this. Predators feel their equals when they arrive. I've dressed the part, polished boots, sigil ring, a cloak far too fine for a borderland bastard. To them, I am Lord Kalin of Marinhill. To her, I'm a question she hasn't asked aloud yet.
My lord, the Queen has been expecting you. She regrets she cannot greet you herself, but requests your presence at the council chamber in the morning.
Of course. I'd not keep Her Majesty waiting.
A lie inside a lie, wrapped in velvet and silk. Let her keep her distance. Let her think me soft. When the time comes, I will strike true. But gods help me if she sees me first. The castle is older than memory, older than record. They call it Ironstone. They could have named it for its chill alone. Stone and metal, so alike in temperament it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. Only the rust betrays the metal, and bloodstains, if you stare long enough.
Bring my things to the eastern wing, the one reserved under Lord Kalin's name.
Aye, my lord. The castle steward had already given us the key.
So she knew I was coming. Not guessed, not assumed. Knew. This queen does not react. She arranges. Corridors stretch like veins through the castle's body. Cold, gray, endless. The walls are lined with arches, their mouths yawning like they've been swallowing guests for centuries. At the base of each arch, two gargoyles crouch in silence. Small things. Fists clenched, teeth bared. Guardians, perhaps. Or warnings. Men carve these not in joy, but in fear. I know the difference. Ah, my wing. When an assassin is welcomed, it means he's already been seen. I am the blade inside the velvet sheath, and the sheath is already waiting on the table. The door seals behind me with the weight of ceremony. I let the silence wrap around my shoulders, let myself pretend, if not for one breath, that I've arrived as a guest. This chamber is generous, too generous. Deep indigo drapery, like bruises pulled over windows. A hearth lit in anticipation. Someone knew the hour of my arrival before I did. On the low table, a silver goblet, a bottle of imported red, uncorked, breathing. Beside it, a small tray, spiced fruits, thin sliced cheese, figs the color of dusk. And there it is, a single envelope. To Lord Kalin of Marinhill, with warmest regards. The hand is precise, elegant, practiced, not hers, but from someone who knows the shape of her shadow. To the esteemed Lord Kalin.
On behalf of Her Majesty Virelya, Queen of the Ironstone Throne and Protector of the Northern Realms, we welcome you graciously to our home. Her Majesty regrets she cannot greet you in person upon your arrival, as matters of state occupy her immediate attention. However, she extends her anticipation of your presence at tomorrow's council, where she looks forward to making your acquaintance and to hearing your voice among her trusted advisors. May your rest be peaceful and your stay enlightening. With deepest respect, Lord Fintrin, Steward of the Crown.
The Queen cannot greet me. Yet her hand delivers wine, warmth, and warning. She's letting me breathe, letting me play Lord in her den of wolves. Which means she either finds me amusing or unworthy of caution. Let's see how long I can play the part before the blade is drawn. I settle into the chair like I belong there. The goblet is heavier than it looks, real silver, cool to the touch. Even now she wraps the blade in silk. Gods! No bite, no sharpness, just warmth. Sweet, with hints of clove, citrus, and something rich and dark, like figs dried under foreign suns. This is desert wine, imported from the southern reaches beyond the Obsidian Gulf, which means it's expensive. Things like this are reserved for treaty signings, weddings, or kings. So the Queen is wealthy. Wealthy enough to waste this kind of gold on a stranger's tongue. Curious, but pointless. Whatever luxury she offers, whatever game she plays, it doesn't change what I came to do. A clean set of shirts waits folded on the edge of the bed. Soft white linen, not the coarse stuff border lords wear. This is weave work from the Eastern Isles. So she thought of everything. Wine, warmth, clothing. Is this seduction, or is it strategy? The Queen doesn't flatter, it would seem. She prepares. Even kindness here is a calculated blow. No assassin worth the title stays caged. Even a golden cage grows teeth. The castle breathes differently at dusk. Walls shift and shadows stretch. It's time to walk the corridors, to hear what the stones whisper when they think no one is listening. For if I am to kill a queen, I should first know how loudly her name echoes in her own halls. The sconces flicker in a rhythm like breathing. Candles line the walls in tall wrought iron cages, their light dancing against the stone, trying to fool the cold into retreat. Braziers offer pockets of warmth near each doorway, like islands almost in a frozen sea. The arches above curve like ribs of the beast, holding the ceiling like the creature's breath might collapse it all. I nod now and then to the guards as I pass them. Smile, let them see the polish, the lie. Lord Kalen of Marinhill. Curious, well-traveled, disarmingly friendly. And then I see it. A corridor unlike the rest. Dark, veiled in floor-to-ceiling drapes of deep crimson tied shut with gold-threaded cord. Velvet so rich it seems to swallow the candlelight. 4 guards flank the entrance, not the usual sentries, though. These were black lacquered armor trimmed in obsidian, with spears etched in runes that I don't recognize.
Now this is interesting. I don't recall this wing on any map, and I make it a point to know my castles. Something hidden, or something holy?
The Queen's orders. No entry, no exceptions.
Oh, come now. Surely there's something behind there. A war room, a sanctuary, perhaps a treasury. Or is this where she keeps the ghosts?
Silence. Nothing. No reaction. Which means they're trained well, or they've seen what lies beyond.
Very well, very well. A nobleman must respect the mysteries of queens. Do let her know that I passed through. I'm certain she'll want to hear everything.
A locked corridor, a velvet veil, 4 shadows too still. That's where she is, or where she was. Whatever it hides, though, it watches back. The kitchens now, these I know. Every castle has its heart hidden behind the gilded halls, where heat clings to skin and stories rise like steam from the pot. Here, the masks come off, titles melt, truths bubble up in spilled wine and baked bread.
Pardon my intrusion, though I dare say, if your meats taste half as good as they smell, I may never leave.
Ain't every day we get silk-shirted nobles creeping into the kitchen.
Oh, forgive me. I've never been good at staying where I'm told.
Laughter is a door, and now it's cracked open. I just have to listen.
Swear to gods, I saw her last week, Her Majesty, walk in the East Wing after moonrise. But it weren't her. Not like normal.
Don't start that again. You mean your ghost queen?
She was dressed in white, I tell you. Pale as snow. No guards, no crown, just walk in the halls like she was dreaming.
Fool boy, if the Queen caught you spying, you'd be skinned down to bone and fed to the crows.
Still, I've heard others say it too, that there's a second woman looks like her, but too soft, too kind, says nothing, just passes like a whisper. They say she's a blessing or a curse.
White, soft, silent. So, the story has roots.
Sounds like I'll have to keep my eyes open. Perhaps this ghost queen and I might become acquainted.
She'll ruin you if you do. That's what they say.
Ghost, queens, blessings, curses. Whatever she is, she's real enough to frighten the help, and real things bleed. Time to retire to my rooms. Tomorrow I meet the Queen. Tonight I met the Echo. I took a different path back, not because I was lost, but because even castles with maps lie to you. The corridors tighten a bit here. Fewer torches, less warmth. The walls feel older, like they remember more than they should. Sound. Soft. Very soft. It's not wind. Not footsteps. Not a servant with a song in their throat. No, this is something else. A humming? No, a note. A voice. Strange, though it doesn't echo, it doesn't move. It exists. As though someone is singing behind the walls themselves from inside the stone. Is this the ghost? A trick of the mind sweetened by too much wine, or... But why would a ghost sing? Gone. No trail, no source. Whatever that was, it knew I was listening. The chamber is built like a cathedral. Vaulted ceilings, high stained glass, a hearth large enough to roast a stag. But even now it feels hollow. Then I hear them. Steps, clean, sharp, unmistakable. Not the shuffling of robes, not the stomp of guards, no, this is something else. This is conviction made audible. And then she. No crown, no scepter, no jeweled robe or ceremonial cloak. Her eyes, brown but sharpened to glass, still yet somehow scanning everything at once. Her hair, deep red, braided into a crown of thorns atop her head, and her skin pale, like light filtered through frost. She wears a blouse, pressed, high-collared, immaculate, but instead of gowns or trailing silks, this queen wears trousers, tailored, fitted, black, with boots polished enough to shame a mother. The council bows, all of them, not because she demands it, but because they fear what happens if they don't.
Seated.
She hasn't looked at me yet. Not once. And somehow that's worse than if she had. It appears this queen does not rule by spectacle, she rules by gravity.
And the fabric itches today. The seam along my collar was meant to be flawless, tailored, pressed, stitched by hand, and still it itches. The boots are polished. The trousers lie smooth against my hips. The blouse is stiffer than I like, but I've worn worse. I do not pace before council. I do not fidget. I wait. They'll expect my voice first. They always do. The voice breaks the silence. It gives permission. Without it, they are children fumbling in velvet chairs. He is here, the assassin. I knew before he crossed the gate, before his name ever landed on parchment, there's a weight to men who mean to kill. They press on the air, like storms before lightning. There, Lord Kalen of Marinhill. Not his name, not his blood, but his poise. He watches everything, doesn't speak unless necessary, smiles just a breath too late, and his boots too quiet for a diplomat. Oh, he's beautiful in that sharp kind of way, like a blade left in snow. Soon he'll test me. Soon he'll strike. But not before I show him what it means to aim at a woman who was born of iron and rebuilt in fire. I wonder what his voice sounds like in pain.
Thank you for listening to the first episode of Ironblood, a tale of power and deceit. Voice acting, writing, sound editing, and mixing done by Angelina Riordon. Stay tuned for more episodes every Thursday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.